say what up if you see me around. Nike Air separate my feet from the ground. It's just Nike's on my feet, keep my cipher complete like
YouTube, welcome to FC Sports Network and welcome to another episode of NFL Divisional Predictions. This week we're attacking the NFC South, and the team that got the number 1 pick in Jameis Winston, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, comes in here at number 4. How do you expect they'll do this year in the NFC South?
I think there's a huge learning curve for that team. I think they've got a lot of growing to do. I think they have some decent pieces around the board, but a complete team by no means. I think Mike Evans, is a budding star at the wide receiver position. And Jameis definitely has some weapons to help him out early on. But I think, like I said, with this team, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and Jameis will do the same thing. I think he's going to have some pretty solid games where you can see the potential and see why they picked him number 1 overall. But in other games, I think he's going to turn the ball over a lot. He'll get a little bit frustrated, and the team will suffer because of that. I see 3 or 4 wins for this team.
Yeah, going into the draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a lot other needs than just quarterback. They had one of the worst offensive lines of football last year, and their secondary was very suspect. But I've been hearing Doug Martin's looking very good in training camp. Got some great weapons at Vincent Jackson, Mike Evans, like you said. So Jameis Winston has a lot of weapons that he can use on that offense. They just resigned Gerald McCoy as well. He's a great defensive end to get pressure on the quarterback. But we'll see how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do next season. We're realistically looking at 4 or 5 wins for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Team coming into the 3rd spot. This was a tough decision for us with the Saints and the Atlanta Falcons right neck and neck, but the deciding factor was a Jimmy Graham trade, leaving the Saints in 3rd place in the NFC South. How do you think this team will fare in 2015?
Yeah, it was just tough. I mean, you trade a guy like Jimmy Graham. He's arguably one of the best tight ends in the league. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's up there. When you say who's the best tight end in the league, Jimmy Graham is one of the guys that comes into that conversation. He's a huge red zone threat, and he's a huge source of your offense. Teams have to game plan around Jimmy Graham. Now that he's gone, somebody else has got to step up and make plays and make teams respect New Orleans Saints. Of course, they got Drew Brees, and of course, he's going to rack up a lot of yards. It doesn't help them when they lose a guy like that, obviously. And then besides that, I just don't think they're a great team. I think they've got some decent pieces. I think they're pretty average. I don't think they're a bad team, but I just don't see them being in playoff contention this season.
Yeah, the Jimmy Graham trade was big for me as well. Outside of him, they really don't have any other weapons for Drew Brees to throw the ball to. Did pick up C.J. Spiller, so maybe he can fit in the offense just like Darren Sproles did. Marcus Colston's a solid possession receiver, and Brandon Cooks is a good guy out of the slot, but I really don't think he is a go-to guy. With that Jimmy Graham trade, getting Max Unger was big as well, because Drew Brees had no time in the pocket last year.
And they had drafted Andrews Pete in the 1st round left tackle.
Yeah, so maybe those big guys up front that they just acquired can give Drew Brees a little more time next year in the pocket. The big key for me is that this team's defensive struggles. Last year they were 25th in pass defense and 29th in run defense. Giving up those kind of numbers, you don't win too many football games in the National Football League. They did resign Mark Ingram, who really turned to his own, being a lead back for this New Orleans Saints football team. So that's the Saints coming in 3rd spot in the NFC South. The team that we got coming in 2nd is the Atlanta Falcons. How do you think this team will fare in the NFC South in 2015?
I think the Falcons will be a decently good team. Very average. I don't think they're there quite yet to being into that playoff contention. They might be like in the race, but I don't think if they get to the playoffs, they're a team that's going to make any kind of noise. If they happen to get one of those wild card spots or end up winning this division. But I like Roddy White. I like Julio Jones. I'm a believer in Matt Ryan. I know a lot of guys don't like him. I think Matt Ryan, when he has time and he has the weapons, is a solid quarterback. I just don't think there's anything special about this team that's going to set them over the top.
Yeah, this Atlanta Falcons offense has a lot of firepower. Matt Ryan at the helm, Roddy White, Julio Jones, just drafted Tevin Coleman, so maybe he can solidify that rushing game. Picked up Vic Beasley as well, a guy off the edge, one of your favorite pass rushers in the draft. Hopefully he can be a 3-down guy. Talking about this defense, it still worries me a little bit. They still have other needs that they didn't fill in the NFL draft in the offseason. The Atlanta Falcons coming in here in 2nd place in the NFC South.
Yeah, Vic Beasley, I've said it since day one. Like, if you want a pure edge rusher, that's the guy you want. And I've heard he's looked great and explosive at camp. So I was really a fan of that pick.
Yeah, hopefully Vic Beasley can bring constant pressure off the edge for them. The number 1 team in the NFC South is the Carolina Panthers. How do you think this team will fare in 2015?
Similar to last year. Very similar to last season. I think maybe a little bit better, if not the same. I just think this team's a very similar team to what they were last year. They didn't make a whole lot of changes. The Shaq Thompson pick, as we were talking about before we recorded this video, Shaq Thompson is a guy that's more of like a work in progress that has a high upside. He's a super athletic guy at linebacker, goes sideline to sideline. And you got guys like Kuechly and Thomas Davis that kind of mentor him a little bit. And hopefully he gets polished enough to end up becoming a big-time player. But I expect Kelvin Benjamin to be much improved going into the season, and hopefully that helps Cam Newton out.
This Carolina Panthers football team has one of the best defenses in football, led by Luke Kuechly. Thomas Davis just picked up Charles Tillman in the addition of Shaq Thompson. The Carolina Panthers football team should continue to dominate on defense. Jonathan Stewart really turned into his own as well, had a couple 100-yard games towards the end of the season. And Cam Newton got a couple more targets with Greg Olsen, Kelvin Benjamin, and Devin Funchess in the draft. With all of those weapons that Cam Newton has at his disposal, we'll see if he can take the extra step and lead the Panthers far into the playoffs. That's all we got here at FC Sports Network. Don't forget to give it a like, comment, or subscribe. And don't be scared to put your own predictions in the comment section below. Faux Free Coop signing out of here.